ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Youngsan Stadium here in Seoul, South Korea. We've already found out two of the players who are advancing to the semifinals, Seoul Ki and SOS, the two teammates from Bloomjin Stars. And now it's time to get to the Terran half of the bracket with MVP versus ForGG D Apollo.
That's right, Day 9, because it's going to be my favorite game of the day. I'm actually the most excited for ForGG against MVP. It's going to be an incredible Terran versus Terran.
Because, you know what? This is what we're going to call the casting alley-oop, where I'm going to throw something up and you're going to take it and you're going to slam dunk it.
All right, ready?
D Apollo, what's ForGG's win percentage in Terran versus Terran?
94%.
Bam!
Oh!
Against Terran players in Best of X series. That's, again, just not one-shot series. 94% win rate. 94%. 94%.
94%. Did you hear that? Did you get that? In your head, 94%.
I know that your feeble mind might not comprehend the number that we have just thrown at you today. 94% is staggering in StarCraft 2. Over 60% win rate is considered exceptional in the matchup. Some of the best players in the world over their lifetimes, like Flash, who is considered to have really the highest win rates ever, was at just over 70%. And what's ForGG in 94?
94. 94%.
When I found out that, we both started just vomiting blood.
I've commentated his Terran versus Terran games because he came through the European Premier League, Premier League, and oh boy, was he looking absolutely fantastic. And here is where we're at so far today.
Yeah. Again, ForGG versus MVP, followed by Innovation versus Alive. The semifinals will be kicking off tomorrow. Seoul Ki SOS.
Yeah, look at that. I'm staring at that side of the bracket saying, Park Ji-soo, Park Ji-soo, Park Ji-soo. That's all I'm saying right now.
That's all you're saying? That's all you're thinking? That's all we're hearing?
But then again, I look right under Park Ji-soo, which is ForGG, and then I see Jung Young MVP, a 4-time GSL winner, is playing against him.
I mean, MVP has such a decorated career. I mean, if he wore all the medals and trophies he had in his jacket, he should definitely not go swimming because he would drown. He would sink right to the bottom of that pool and be unable to get up, weighted down by all his bling. Honestly,
if I had a boat, he would be my anchor.
That is, wow, that is amazing. Let's take a look at ForGG's statistics. Of course, in WCS, it's not a wide sample size, but 11-3 versus Terran.
Yeah.
Bad versus Zerg, 28.6%. It's straight up capital bad, man.
He's actually so happy. I spoke to him because I've known him for quite a while now, over a year, going to European tournaments, living in France. When he saw that it was only Terrans on his side of the bracket, he told me, no Zerg, so good. And he wants to go and thinks and believes he will go right to the finals.
And of course, as we take a look at his WCS rank point, we see 1850, middle of the pack, a win here, and a moderate performance at any other point in the rest of the year would guarantee him a spot in the World Championship at the end of the year, the 2013 Ultimate World Championship. MVP, obviously no slouch. Played kind of a starting sloppy game against Ryung, but then pulled it right back together and played flawless mech. Answered odd aggression very easily, and odd aggression is exactly what ForGG is going to be hurling at him.
If any European viewer is awake right now, so hello if you are awake, and thank you for tuning in.
So glad both of you showed up.
MVP played against Lucifron in the WCS EU and actually got 0-2. He lost 0-2. But at that point, he was training specifically for Protoss players and Zerg players against one individual, SKMC. His training partner was MC across those two different races. Back then, he wasn't even practicing versus Terran. Since coming back to Korea, he's practiced versus Terran. We saw his games against Ryung yesterday, and he was looking pretty good. Yeah, it looked very smooth. I mean, the big thing to note is that there's a number of common attack timings that overlap in TVT. So you end up in a lot of situations where you do a drop at the same time he's doing a drop. You do attack at the same time he is. MVP maneuvers in those situations magnificently. No need to continue to elaborate because it's time to go into game number 1. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Spawning in the top left, one of the most aggressive and successful TVTers to date. His ID is Team Millennium's ForGG. His name is Park Ji-soo.
Anna, do, set. PUBG still fighting! And down here is, of course, MVP, the 4-time GSL champion. There's 4 pins on his shirt. He is also from Germany. His name is Jürgen George.
Oh my God. Look at that flying acorn and that toothbrush that's been drawn on there.
That's exactly what it is. It's definitely not a gun and a bullet, that's for sure.
It's a toothbrush and an acorn. You better watch his head because he'll be like, ow, was that a nut?
Park Jisoo, ForGG has a lot of fans here that have just come to watch him play. And of course, MVP has his share of fans as well. They're cheering for MVP. And this is going to be a Terran versus Terran for the ages.
Yeah,
I would like to think.
MVP fans a little higher tech, using digital media. It's the analog media, the Go ForGG.
Well, MVP lives and resides in Korea, and ForGG is still in front. So, Korea ahead of technology in more ways than one.
You know, we've been talking a little bit about this in the TVT series we watched between MVP and Ryung, where you kind of have to get a gas geyser early on. You can't go geyserless. The Reaper, the Hellion, all these are a little bit too big of threats.
Yeah.
Looks like ForGG is thinking about it, though.
I mean, MVP's gotten quite a standard gas timing here. ForGG, for the majority of his Terran versus Terran days in Europe, has always taken a gas. And it's around about 16 to 17 supply. But in this game specifically, no gas and a command center play. So you talked about taking a gas and the necessity of having that gas. You're going to encounter aggression, absolutely encountering aggression. And when you encounter aggression, you need to know you can defend it. And it's difficult without taking one.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you do this early expand build that ForGG is doing and MVP does a 2-Rax Reaper play, you can't hold it off.
You can't stop it.
You can't. I mean, especially given the fact that the bunkers won't really be able to cover all the different angles that things can be thrown at. What 2 Reapers coming out from MVP? Oh, is ForGG going to cut too many corners? He did cut a pretty significant corner. He went double refinery before adding on his second supply depot, and he only going to have 2 Marines.
Yeah, 2 Marines beats 1 Reaper.
Yep.
But the second Reaper is where things get difficult. Does he add a reactor onto that barracks soon once this gas is going up? Does he get 3 or 4 Marines? How many Marines is he going to get here? And of course, the Reapers can come back and regenerate. And all of a sudden, now ForGG sees this.
So good to have those 2 SCVs there to repair one another to make sure that there is no delay. ForGG should not be pulling back. Barely gets out in time.
Most important, MVP knows exactly what he's going up against now. He knows it's a 1 barracks command center play. Immediately has his command center on the low ground. No need to be afraid to put it in the main base. On the low ground is absolutely fine. Likewise, ForGG realizes what he's up against too, because they've seen the Reaper's timing. So he's got his factory, and he's going to rush to get that down. But these 3 Marines are pretty damaged already. And the 2 Reapers are hungry.
Smart play from ForGG. Pulling all the way back, no problem. Let that depot take a little bit of damage. Uh-oh, hello, Reaper. Welcome to Bullets.
Live from Seoul, South Korea.
Yeah, I mean, those Marines throw all their acorns right at those Reapers. They will be able to heal, but soon enough, we're seeing, wow, MVP go for double command center to answer. Very, very smart. He says, you want to start off and try to get ahead in economy? I don't think so. I'm going to out-economy you, Mr. Economy.
Yeah, and that's actually really smart, because at the same time, he can absolutely still throw a starport down and still try to drop units. He's got harassing 2 Reapers, 1 Reaper. But still, he has multiple options to still mess around with ForGG at this point, who will absolutely 100% be trying to play relatively defensive, because he knows that MVP has potential.
Oh no, and there it is. The Reaper's going up into the main base. This is the telltale sign.
Oh, he slows the starport too.
And there, boom, he knows exactly what's up. It's going to be a Hellbat drop from ForGG. However, as you were talking about, ForGG has a lot of versatility. He might still not be going for mech as a follow-up. He may very well go bio. This is a map where I think that mech is much stronger.
Yeah.
MVP seemed to have gone mech multiple times on this map as well. But MVP going for Hellion, not yet going for the armory as we saw him do against Ryung.
So Hellions are pretty good against Hellbats. They are, they do damage versus light, and of course Hellbats are light units. So what we're going to see from MVP, who roasts those Marines in the center of the map, and there's nothing left at home actually, so it may have been a bit of a overreach there by ForGG, who has to make a wall off immediately. But he's going to focus on Viking and Hellion to deal with what he knows is coming, which are Hellbats.
There's the cancel. They're going to pop right up into the main base. And it looks like it's a little Hellion versus Hellion, but it's the Hellbats trying to chase the Hellion. This is a disaster for ForGG, because MVP is going to be able to just keep running away.
And he's killed quite a few SCVs already. He's going to try and get one more. Can he? Oh, he swings around to the natural.
Using that medevac speed to try to land directly on that. God, that does so much damage.
4 kills. And remember, MVP is the guy that opened up with the 3 command centers. Why has he got 4 SCV kills and ForGG hasn't? So, naturally, MVP doing pretty good so far. But how is he going to deal with these Hellbat drops? I'd be very surprised if we actually saw a player throughout the entire of the series play by. I think we're going to see a lot of mech from both of these guys.
So it's looking like what ForGG is going to be doing is throwing down 4 factories in just a moment and powering up for a big push. This is indicated by this extremely, extremely fast +1 mech weapons that we see up in the production tab. Medevac's being produced 1 at a time, Hellbat's being produced 2 at a time. MVP is going to be on the defensive with Hellion Viking. Kind of an odd mix to be defensive with.
All right, well, let's find out how well he's going to be able to defend, because that Hellbat drop will want to go in. There might be another one up north, but so far MVP hasn't taken any damage. He's got faster 3 command centers. He'll have a much higher economy. Despite being behind the supply, that's because he doesn't have really that many attacking units. He's focusing very heavily.
Oh, ForGG. ForGG is going to dart right in there, lose 1 medevac in the main base. He may very well lose 2. ForGG doing the smart thing, picking off those turrets, because the turrets will increasingly make MVP play defensively.
All right, well, I don't know how many SCVs actually went down there. +2 attack is on the way for ForGG behind this, and there we do see 5 SCVs kills for ForGG.
ForGG is going to be throwing down those factories any second. There's 2 of them. In just a moment, we're going to see 2 more go down. That is a very fast +2 attack. I mean, attack tends to stack a little bit more strongly for mech players due to the fact that, of course, they do more damage per shot, so.
Yeah, you really don't need to get armor. Hellbats have so much hit points anyway. There's not too much need to get armor at the early stages, but it looks like ForGG is going to go in again.
Uh-oh, that's definitely going to go down. Oh, God, great physics there. MVP on point, spotting everything. Hellions from MVP easily scooping up everything. Now, one thing that MVP can consider that's very rare to see in this matchup is the transformation service, the ability that lets Hellions transform back into Hellbats and vice versa. He's built so many Hellions at the start, but Hellions don't really have as much utility as the game goes on.
A couple of additional factories coming down here for MVP as well, and gets maybe a unit, I'm not sure which one, in the middle of the map. And ForGG just makes sure he's not going to get busted as he drops into the mineral line as well.
Wow, that's some sick damage. SCVs definitely got chewed up. 95 supply for ForGG, 83 for MVP. ForGG is staying ahead and is not doing any of this sort of crazy suicidal aggression that we are used to seeing him do at Wings of Liberty tournaments. I mean, I even remember at the IEM Gamescom tournament in 2012 where he was performing so brilliantly and then just got way over aggressive and got eaten alive against some of the stronger Terran players. But here he's just playing very straightforwardly. These attacks are doing damage, but they're not over-committal attacks. It's a single medevac with a pair of Hellbats. Great play from ForGG. MVP, per usual, standard, solid, graded.
So ForGG so far has killed 8 SCVs compared to MVP, who's killed 5. That's given him a bit of an edge, despite MVP going for the 3 command centers. MVP, though, is going to mine from his 3rd base just a few seconds earlier than his opponent. Not too much of a big difference. These players are, starting to be in a similar position. I wouldn't put one player super far ahead than the other at this stage. I mean, we have to keep in consideration that ForGG does have that +2 attack over MVP, who's just starting his +2.
ForGG does need to continue his upgrades. I mean, if you're starting +1 that early, you're going to have almost no units when that's done.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we saw ForGG take a 3rd command center at the same time he started +2 attack. So he's got to go for +3 to make any use of it whatsoever. Okay, armor, fine, same thing. Just needs to continue to extend that upgrade lead.
All right, well, ForGG a little bit supply bot there, which is why we see him throwing down 4 or 5 supply depots all at once. And what we're going to start to see now is looking for position. The stage of the early game is finished. There's no more, or there will be maybe some slight hell drops, but it's not the focus of the game anymore. It's about finding position on your opponent.
Ooh, I don't think MVP is going to run into any issues with these Hellbat drops. There's absolutely nothing to defend against them. At the top side, there are missile turrets, but at the second base, there's not really much of anything. So I think ForGG is anticipating.
He's going to go for it. He's going to drop his Hellbats on the army.
Is he going to go for this right now? In the meantime, it looks like the Hellbat drops have begun back in the main base. Great drops from ForGG, hitting at just the perfect time. Hellions from MVP, not in a legit position at all, get ripped down. but all the workers from ForGG are dying. He needs to end the game with his attack, and Port, oh my god, MVP just types out.
All right, I've watched a lot of Millennium 4GG play, and every single time I'm like, how does he do these kind of plays? He is so ballsy, just forgets about defense, says, I don't care about you dropping me. I can actually see an opportunity to win the game, and does it game after game after game.